Let's get more insight into what's playing out in River State. We're joined by Honorable Gift Walu, who's a former Commissioner of Housing under Governor Fubara and Senior Lecturer, University of Port Harcourt. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics. Just get straight to it, really. Do you think this is a missed opportunity towards achieving peace? I'm talking about this meeting that was scheduled to hold, at least on the side of the governor, but clearly the members of the assembly aren't having it, or at least they're not attending that meeting. So is this a missed opportunity for you?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'll start by saying that we all probably now know the background to the issue in River State, which culminated in the Supreme Court judgment that tried to settle a matter that had defied all other attempts. Now, you will agree with me that there was a quarrel, so to say, a disagreement between the Assembly and the executive arm of government. And it had so many dimensions to it. There was the issue of election, there was the issue of local government, there was the issue of defection, there was the issue of withholding of the allowances and salaries of legislators, and so on. And this matter went to court. While the matter was pending in court, several attempts were made to settle the matter, including the intervention by Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But those who were bent on destroying the structure that brought them to power, those who were bent on making sure that they listened to people who had very ulterior intentions around them, people who I can say today are the true enemies of River State, because they did not support the current governor to become governor. They did not also support President Tinubu to become president. And having seen that they have lost out on both ends, they decided to deceive those who allowed them to deceive them. And so the Supreme Court judgment is clear and has spelled out in very plain language what should be done. As far as I'm concerned, and I believe this is the view of many Rivers people who have now come to agree that we should follow the Constitution in anything that we are doing, since we can no longer play politics and pander to political resolutions of things. Let's do what the Constitution says we should do so that River State can be in peace, so that there can be development in River State. So inviting the Assembly members, if I were a member of the Assembly, or if I were the Speaker of the Assembly, I would not honor that invitation. That is one. The other one is that even the way, from what we're hearing, the way that that invitation came is inappropriate. We're talking about an independent arm of government. And the communication, the channel of communication between the Assembly and the executive is that the governor writes the Speaker of the House of Assembly, and not through a proxy, not through his secretary. Another point here that from what we're hearing also is that the letter has not been properly served. It was through the social media that people are hearing that the governor wants to hold a meeting with the Assembly members.
Right.
But on top of that is that today, Monday, when the governor said the Assembly members should come at 10 o'clock, the governor also fixed a commissioning ceremony in Akpo Kingdom of Obiakpo local government area for 11 o'clock, meaning that he probably doesn't even want to hold any meeting with anybody.
Is 1 hour too short, Honorable Walu? Is 1 hour too short for a meeting?
Yeah, I can tell you that, because if you look at, I don't know if you have seen the letter that is circulating. That letter has a number of items, issues to be discussed. And I doubt how 1 hour can be enough for those issues to be discussed. But what is more important is that where we are today, the ball is in the court of the governor. The Supreme Court has told him to do X, Y, Z. He has done some of the things that the Supreme Court asked him to do. He has refused to do others. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the governor and his people are putting the judgment of the Supreme Court on trial a little further, because they have taken some of the issues that they are supposed to deduce from a Supreme Court judgment and deal with to court. And now that they have gone to court and they are doing so many other things that suggest that they don't see the assembly, the governor still recognizes the assembly as the assembly of Rivers State and for Rivers people. Perhaps he's not too comfortable with the Supreme Court judgment that sacked the assembly that he preferred to work in, the assembly of 3 persons.
Right.
And I can tell you that one of the things that is being bandied today is that the governor wants to hold a discussion with the assembly with a view to agreeing on where the assembly can meet. The court said the assembly can meet anywhere they choose. And the assembly that the governor was dealing with before was not meeting in the River State House of Assembly complex, because that assembly complex had been destroyed hitherto by the same people.
All right. Honorable, I understand some of the points you've raised, but in a situation like this, definitely egos have to be shared. If it's for the good of the people, I mean, we have to lay down ego. And I mean, they had a meeting with the president, President Bola, and everybody had a sit down and they talked at some point. So I imagine you're not ruling out meetings. Don't you think it would have been fair to visit in the first place, in that sense, fulfill all righteousness, act in good faith, to sort of hear him out? I mean, what if that's what the constituents, the people they represent, actually want? I don't think there was that kind of consultation. So in terms of finding a resolution, don't you think we should just find a way to put aside ego and, for the sake of peace, just act in good faith? Wouldn't that have been a fair thing to do?
Ordinarily, if we were talking about the relationship between 2 young people who are in love, and the need for them to meet and find a way out of a situation that they have, then I would say yes. But we're talking about serious constitutional issues here. We're talking about the relationship between one arm of government and another. We're talking about people who are coming out from a long-drawn legal and otherwise crisis. Now, when the president called for that meeting, the governor agreed that he was going to abide by those resolutions, but he didn't do so. He insisted instead that the matter should go to court and that the court should settle the matter. Now the court has settled the matter. And before today, the assembly had invited the governor to come present the budget. He refused to receive the letter and did not honor that invitation. Now, him asking them to come and telling them that he wants to discuss matters that have already been decided by the court. As far as I'm concerned, anybody who goes into such a discussion will be disobeying the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court did not say, go and have a second look at what we have said you should do. It is for you to do exactly as the Supreme Court has said. See, Rivers State somehow has become known for court matters and decisions. In 2007, the Supreme Court ruled on the 25th of October that Omeya, the then governor, was no longer governor, that Honorable Chibikero Timi should be sworn in as governor. It didn't take 24 hours before he was sworn in as governor. When there was crisis in Bayelsa, after the election of the Leon as governor, a day to his swearing in, there was a Supreme Court judgment that said this man cannot be sworn in for XYZ reasons. That his swearing in ended immediately. His governorship ended immediately, and another person became governor. Now that the Supreme Court has given a judgment in the case of Rivers State, anybody who is dilly-dallying, anybody who is going to sit down to begin to discuss whether or not to do what the Supreme Court has said, will have the Nigerian state to contend with. And I think that the assembly members are trying to stay within respect for the Supreme Court, respect for the Constitution of Nigeria, respect for the people of Nigeria and the people of Rivers State in not honoring that invitation.
Well, Honorable, at this point, it's hard to know what peace looks like or who is fighting for peace, who's fighting for the people, and who's fighting for their personal or political interests. But I guess, as they always say, time will judge. But we have to thank you, Honorable Gift Wolu, former Commissioner of Housing under Governor Fubara, Senior Lecturer, Uniport. Well, we'll stay with this and see how things develop, but thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. God bless.